Sector Commander of Coast Guard Sector San Francisco. First and foremost, I'd like to send my deepest condolences and my thoughts and prayers to the friends and family of our three missing individuals. They're going through an extremely difficult and challenging time right now, and we are in close concert and communication with them, and we'll continue to do so throughout this search effort. I'd also like to recognize all of our Coast Guard crews and our state and local interagency partners who are part of the Unified Command. These teams have been out on scene, now searching ever since the initial call came in, continuously. Their dedication, their commitment to the search effort is impressive. I'd also like to recognize and thank the Good Samaritans who were on scene. Those Good Samaritans called this distress case in initially, made us aware of it, and then rescued people from the water. You all saved lives. Your actions saved lives. Our crews have now been out there for 23 hours straight. They've cumulatively covered 950 square nautical miles. In addition, they've searched over 1,700 miles of track line, utilizing 11 surface assets and 4 aircraft. We have completely saturated the search area. We were there, as I said, immediately upon notification of the distress, and we've been utilizing our search and rescue optimal planning system, as well as taking into account tides, currents, and prevailing weather conditions to ensure that we have the best search possible. Despite that extensive effort, we have been unsuccessful in locating any survivors within the search area. Suspending an active search is one of the most difficult things we do as Coast Guard commanders. I don't take that responsibility lightly at all. Our goal is always to bring home families' loved ones, and we understand that families want answers, and that is never lost on us. That said, as I look at the extensive search effort we have put forth to this point, I look at the probability of success of locating a survivor within the search area, given everything we've put forth and all the environmental conditions. My intention is to suspend active search operations at sunset this evening. The families are aware. They've been notified, and our crews will continue to diligently search until we reach that point later this evening. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Dean Crispin, Chief San Francisco Fire Department. Fire Department units assisted Coast Guard with a comprehensive search through the evening last night with the resources available on Fireboat 3, Fireboat St. Francis. At 6 o'clock this morning, the Coast Guard notified us that our services were no longer needed. However, they are continuing to conduct search and rescue operations on the bay. I would like to thank our regional partners and our city partners for their incredible collaboration and communication throughout this very difficult and challenging rescue operation. And I'd like to make a special thank you to the members of the San Francisco Fire Department for their courageous, brave, and professional actions during this very challenging and difficult rescue operation. I would like to share the final numbers that we have at this point. We have one individual who has been declared deceased. We have one canine who has been declared deceased. We have 3 members who were rescued and brought to Gashouse Cove and transported to the emergency room, who have now been released from the hospital and are doing okay. We have 13 members who were rescued and brought to Gashouse Cove, who received services in the reunification center and are now home safe. We currently have 3 individuals who are still unaccounted for, and the search continues and will continue until the Coast Guard deems it to discontinue. Thank you.
First, I want to express my condolences to the family and friends of the known victim and to those friends and family of the 3 that are still missing. The search will continue through till nightfall. I want to say thank you to Captain, to the U.S. Coast Guard for their incredible service. I want to thank our police department. I want to thank our chief, Dean Crispin, our fire department, for their heroic attempts yesterday and heroic efforts to bring safely back 16 members of that trip out on the bay. These are the moments that you do not want to come down as mayor and see a loss of life. But I am also incredibly proud of the all hands on deck effort by multiple agencies throughout this region, from Marin to Oakland to San Francisco to the Good Samaritans. It was a truly all hands on deck effort to save 16 people, and so my heart goes out to the families of the victims, and we will continue to partner with the U.S. Coast Guard in the coming hours. And once again, I want to thank everybody, Chief, Commander. Thank you for all that our local law enforcement did, and our partners throughout the region. We're happy to take some questions now.
Anyone share the name of the person who's being honored at the memorial and the relation to the passengers?
I don't think we have that answer.
We talked with one of the fishermen, Good Samaritans, who was pulling people out of the water, and he described what he unfortunately believes were people inside the boats who were not able to get out of the boats. Is there a possibility that those three who were unaccounted for are likely still in that boat, and is there any way of locating that?
It's a good question. Certainly, that's a possibility. I'd be speculating to say whether or not that was the case. What I can say is a 49-foot cabin cruiser had 3 different levels to the vessel. There was the weather deck up above with a canopy, but then there was the main deck and a lower deck that are both enclosed. So there is a high possibility that individuals could have been trapped inside the vessel. We've done survivor debriefs, and we do know that individuals were in the main deck and potentially below deck, so we know there were folks there. So that is a possibility. However, that is going to come out in the investigation stage of this. We're still focused on the search and rescue, trying our best to see if we can locate the 3 missing individuals.
We're hearing different stories about how that boat may have gone down. We've heard there's a possibility of a fire, then we've heard that there wasn't a fire. We talked with the 2 gentlemen who were there, who assisted in rescuing those people, and they reported seeing either steam or smoke. Is there any idea or any intel from those who were on the boat about what may have caused it to go down?
So first and foremost, the report of a fire is unsubstantiated. So after talking to survivors and talking to folks on scene and our own crews that were out there, there was no evidence at the time of a fire of any kind. What it does appear is that the vessel took a wave and was listing heavily and lost a little bit of stability, and then it quickly rolled over. The cause of that, though, at this point in time, I don't know. We're going to look into that as part of the investigation.
What are the survivors telling your team about those 3 people who were stuck inside the boat? You know, why weren't they able to get out? You know, people that were moving, so there was one window that was open, the captain was out of the boat. What happened to those people?
So all indications are that things happened very quickly. When the vessel took on a wave over the side, it quickly rolled to starboard, and then many people inside fell over. And then, as you can imagine, if a vessel were to capsize and go beneath the surface of the water, folks could get disoriented. It's dark, and obviously it was just a very challenging environment to put somebody in very suddenly.
Yeah, gotcha. Can you talk about how deep is the boat? How difficult does that make for divers to get down there? Has anybody been down there to actually eyeball to see if there's anybody in there? Because you don't quite get all that.
So we're going to have to identify exactly where the vessel is on the bottom. We do know the last position. We know where it sunk, and where it is within the bay is approximately 130 feet of depth there. Obviously, the vessel, as it as a vessel sinks, it doesn't necessarily go straight down with the current, so it might move. So again, part of the investigation, but I know San Francisco PD is working with Cal OES to see if we can identify the location of the vessel, and then we'll go from there.
But is that too far to send divers down?
If you get below, from talking to our interagency partners, the police department and the dive teams, if you get much below 120 feet, it'd be extremely difficult to be able to dive on that.
The medical examiner did identify the deceased male. The 3 people that are unaccounted for, are they all members of the same family along with the deceased person?
What I can tell you is they were all close friends and family. Many of them were related, but I don't have the specifics on each individual person who they're related to, but they were all close friends and family.
Will there be any attempts to lift up the boat?
Sure. My name is Commander Brian Hu. I'm the Commander of Special Operations Bureau. I do want to extend our condolences to the family that was impacted. And then also we want to thank the people that helped out and responded and rescued people. As for the question about the boat being lifted, that is a feasibility that we are looking into. Once again, it's all dependent on the capability of how deep the boat is underneath the water and whether or not we can lift it. And part of that process is we have to locate the boat first. And then once we locate the boat first, we have to send a RSOV or a underwater drone that will look at the feasibility and see how the boat is structurally sound. And then we could look at the feasibility and working with our partners on raising the boat if needed. Thank you.
Was there an opportunity to put a GPS device on the boat before it totally sank?
No, there was. We didn't have that capability available to do anything like that. We did mark the position. Our crews were on scene as well as our interagency, state and local. So we know the latitude and longitude of where it went down, and using some underwater capability, it could potentially be located.
First, forgive me if you said this at the beginning, and with a morbid question, but is there any chance those 3 people missing are still alive?
Well, we always hold out hope, right? That's why we're still searching. So while we haven't located them in the search area, doesn't mean that it's not a possibility, and that's why we're still out there.
And you talked about the Good Samaritans that came in. So did the quick actions of the fishermen actively save lives?
100%. Those individuals were first on scene. I know that there was, in addition to the fishermen, there was also kiteboarder that was out there that allowed at least 4 or 5 people to cling to their sail and their board. So no question, no doubt, with all the cases we see here in San Francisco Bay and the dire gravity of a person in the water type situation, those folks save lives.
I see a hand in the back that I don't think I've seen. Go ahead.
Hi, that is CBS News Bay Area. Do you mind saying the owner of the boat, who the captain was, whether they were trained for bay and ocean trips?
We're not releasing that information at this time.
Yes.
Once it changes, if it changes to a recovery effort, what does that look like for you? Is that still boats on the surface? Is that all underwater? What does recovery mean?
Well, I can turn that over to our partners, but the Coast Guard does surface searches and rescue operations. So once it becomes recovery, we'll step back and turn it over to our partners.
I want to make sure I've gotten everyone once, and I can go back and give this.
He's going to also just do a little bit.
So once it turns into recovery, then of course, we're going to look at options that companies that can do that. Like we mentioned before, is it an extreme depth that our divers cannot go past? So we're going to have to look for a specialized company that can help with the recovery and help lift the boat. So once we figured all those factors, then of course it is an ongoing process. This hasn't happened as long as I can remember. So we're definitely going to have all hands on deck to think about how we're going to safely, recover the boat, and also safely with the safety of our divers.
Sir.
Is there any sense for if there were any life jackets on board, and how many of the people who were on the boat were using life jackets?
I don't have a count of how many people, but we do know that individuals were recovered with life jackets on, and there were life jackets on board the vessel.
And the person who died?
I don't have that detail.
All right, we do last couple on second round searcher.
Was that boat registered with the Coast Guard? And with 20 people aboard, was that a lot of people for that size boat?
So the vessel was documented. It's home ported out of Stockton, California. As I mentioned, it's a 49-foot boat with 3 levels, multiple living spaces on board. Certainly capable of handling that capacity of people, but there's a lot of things that goes into account when you consider stability of a vessel. But certainly capable of having many people on board.
I was just wondering if you could go into kind of the maximum capacity of this boat, if it's known by the Coast Guard, and any details about whether it had a safety inspection that was valid by the Coast Guard, if there were any safety violations with this vessel.
I don't have that detail in front of me now. It is a pleasure craft vessel, not a commercially regulated vessel, but yeah, I don't have those details available right now.
Fisher, wondering if there is a criminal investigation underway in regards to this, and then also wondering if any of those who were on the boat are associated with the boat. Was the owner or operator of that boat one of the people who was rescued or is down?
The first part of the question I can answer, it is an ongoing investigation. Once we get more information, we'll determine whether or not that happens. The second part of the question, I have no idea.
Yeah, I can answer that.
I can answer that. So the pilot of the boat was transported in stable condition to the hospital in San Francisco and has since been released.
So was the boat, did they charter, I mean, did they rent this boat from somebody? Was one of the family members the captain of this boat?
This was just a pleasure craft on a recreational voyage.
So it was a family member, the one that was the captain of this boat?
They were all close family and friends, but all related or close friends on board.
If there is an investigation, what agency will lead that?
The San Francisco Police Department will lead that investigation.
Is there any possibility of shipping routes being closed or impacted by any attempt to recover the boat?
Certainly that's a possibility. We would have to look at safety of that operation. So during the actual search effort, we did put a couple restrictions on some vessels. We had a couple that were outbound for sea that I directed to Anchorage temporarily just for two reasons. One, to keep the search area clear and safe so that our assets could run their search patterns. But then secondly, with the sunken vessel, I wanted to ensure there was no hazard to navigation within the water column. So until we could verify those things, we sent that vessel to Anchorage, and we had two vessels that were going to accept pilots that we asked that they delay coming in. So since then, we verified there was no obstruction or hazard navigation in the water column, and we've opened the waterway, but we are utilizing the eastbound traffic lane for both inbound and outbound, and our Coast Guard Vessel Traffic Service is coordinating those transits.
All right, do last two.
Based on the preliminary investigation, do you guys believe this was preventable? Or what would you tell voters that are planning on navigating the San Francisco Bay Area in order to prevent these tragedies from happening?
So I don't have enough details right now to tell you whether it was preventable or not, or because I don't know the cause of it. What I would say is that anytime you take a vessel out on the water, in the ocean, the bay, it's a dangerous evolution in and of itself. So you need to have the required safety gear on board. You need to have life jackets, life rafts. You need to have your flares and visual distress signals, and you need to have a good communication plan so that if you do end up in trouble, we can get out there and help you out.
You said the boat was out of Stockton before they sailed. You said out to the point where they were distressed, or where they docked somewhere here. Where did they leave from?
Our understanding is they're home ported in Stockton, but they left from St. Francis Yacht Club, headed out to Angel Island, and then after they departed Angel Island is when they had the emergency.
Okay. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you.